You will always be the villain in somebody's story. It's wild, of course, because as salon owners, we never do anything wrong, right? We try not to. Totally kidding. But in general, like, there's always gonna be some like dumpster fire, some crazy storm, whatever, that somebody's gonna turn it into, right? Like when they leave your salon, or you're just gonna be the bad guy. Like, I have had multiple people leave the salon, and when something goes bad, like, they just need to blame somebody, or they can't take responsibility for their actions, and so then it's your fault. And more often than not, it comes down to, honestly, like, insecurity and immaturity, which is such a bummer to freaking deal with when somebody doesn't work for you anymore. It's a bummer when they work for you, period, or with you, or whatever. But, like, you can't let that stuff come in and stick to you, right? It's bad enough when they work with you and you have to deal with it, but when they're gone, it's just like, are you freaking kidding me? And so I have come to the place where, like, it just doesn't matter. Like, let me be the bad guy. You don't like what I do? That's beautiful. Because life is full of choices, and you've got yours and I've got mine, and I make choices for me based on my priorities and my personal preferences, and that's what works for me as a business owner. And I think that coming to that conclusion isn't about being the world's biggest biscuit or whatever. It's knowing what you want and following your path and what's good for you. Like, we all are entitled to do that, but we get so wrapped up in helping people and being there to support them, and we want them to grow because, yes, of course, that impacts our income, but also because we care about them. And so you're like, I'm gonna help her and I'm gonna do all these things, and then she wants to leave, or she doesn't like what you're doing anymore, or it doesn't align, or she, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you feel bad about it, and she's gone, and then she tells somebody else something else, and then it comes back to you. Like, you just can't be available to that. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to, like, disengage from conversations, from even just, like, having your ears just, like, hear it when somebody says this is what I heard, this is whatever, it comes up in conversation. But if you can just know that, like, there's a villain in everybody's story, and there's always two sides to every story as well, and it's never, there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. And as a salon owner, you're gonna be the bad guy in their story. It just probably isn't the truth. I hope it's not the truth, right? I hope it's not the actual truth. And I hope that the actual truth is that they're just, like, grasping at straws. I don't think you grope at straws. Sorry, grammar police, and I don't know, whatever. But you're grasping at straws at that point. And so for me, like, I've told you the story about the hate mail that I've received. I literally recently have someone sending me, like, kind of unkind DMs. And they're just, like, little pokes. And I'm like, smiley emoji, thumbs up, like, all good. Like, this doesn't matter to me. Like, block, mute, hide. Like, we have control over those things. And it's kind of comical. Excuse me. But I'm the bad guy in that story. I am. And I'm okay with that because my actions protect me. They make me the hero in my story. You know what I mean? And for the rest of my business, and for all of my stylists here that want to work with me, right? Like, and at the end of the day, like, whether you're the bad guy or not, because maybe you messed up, maybe we're the bad guy, I don't know. I doubt it, because you're hanging out here and, like, but you could be, because I'm sure that I have done something that wasn't that great, and I hope that I owned it, right? I usually over communicate, so if I've done something that wasn't that great, I will honestly, like, if it doesn't sit with me, I have to acknowledge it and say, like, hey, this is not what my intention was, I didn't mean to do that, I know that was kind of effed up, or whatever, right? I will take action and responsibility if that's the case. But, like, no matter what, if you're the good guy, the bad guy, the ID gaff guy, at the end of the day, just, like, do your freaking job, and I'll do my freaking job, and, like, don't be the eggplant emoji. Like, just pay your rent. Come to work, be on time. Like, it's just not that complicated. Be a good human, right? And if you elevate yourself to those standards, you will slowly but surely eliminate all of the trash that needs to be taken out. And I know that that sounds like pretty harsh, and I guess it kind of is harsh, but at the end of the day, like, if you want to elevate and get your head out of that BS, if you don't want to be the bad guy in anybody's story, don't hire people that like, and don't work with people that need a bad guy. Like, hire people who are more emotionally intelligent, hire people that will take responsibility for their actions, hire people that can communicate. And I understand that's not always a possibility, but if you set the standard that this is where we're going, people can grow up in your business. People can grow to be better. Can I tell you how many people in my salon have come up the ranks to be what I would consider like better in their business, better in their professional setting. I don't know about in their actual lives. That's not my job to worry about. But they have become more professional. They have, everyone that comes to work in my salon, their business improves. Everyone. Because that's what we do here. That's the standard we set. And part of that is because I go high when everybody else goes low. We just don't touch that other nonsense that happens in salons, and our clients notice it. It affects everything. You set the tone, and yes, it's a culture thing in my salon, but it's also, it's just a people thing. Like, we just don't do it, and our clients elevate, and like when there's a client that's drama or nonsense or having like this gossipy conversation, we're all just like, okay, right? But then when someone no longer fits in and they make a decision to move, or I ask them to leave, or for whatever reason, like whatever it is, it's okay, whatever they want to think, whatever they want to say. But while they're here, like, all I really ask of them is to be a good, kind human, follow our core values, and do whatever they said they were going to do when we signed that original agreement, right? Pay your rent, show up, take care of the clients, follow your end of the bargain if you're my employee. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. But we as salon owners dictate what that looks like. And so while you may be the villain in somebody's story, there's a villain in everybody's story, right? And sometimes the villain, if you are, going to be self-aware enough and whatever aware enough, maybe it's like the circumstances, right? Like, I hope that's the case, because even for us as salon owners, like, we don't want to make the employee the bad guy either. Like, take responsibility for what you need to take responsibility for. I think that really elevates everyone in the salon from a leadership perspective when we can do that. And when I have had things where, oh my gosh, like, there's so many stories that I could tell you, with someone and they leave, and like, everyone kind of knows, right? Like, that they were kind of like not that great, and they're going to turn around and like talk poorly about the salon or me or whatever. It's usually because, really, okay, here's the real truth. It's because I held them to their crap. I held them accountable, and they didn't like that. And so then it's my fault because they're not ready to deal with their stuff. And their stuff eventually affected my business, and that's why they had to go. That's usually what it is. And one particular instance, was shortly thereafter the pandemic. I had someone that I didn't invite back to work when we closed and reopened. And this person could not freaking stand it. Like, they needed to be right. They needed to be all those things. And after I knew that I was getting drugged through the mud big time. And that's okay, because I know what it is, and I don't care, frankly. Like, I don't need to go there and worry about this. But I just had a conversation with someone here recently and at the salon, and one of my employees. And she said, it's just like I had no idea that you deal with that kind of stuff. And her girlfriend has said, like, do you want to open a salon one day? And she said, hell no, I see what Lexi goes through. I don't want to do that. And so we were kind of laughing about that. And I said, yeah, because you have to, like, you can't be weak. Like, you have to be strong enough to say, like, that's their stuff, not my stuff, but also strong enough to say, like, I'll take my part in that. And that's what I'm getting to here, is that, like, when that person left back in 2021, maybe, when my staff asked, like, what happened, I said, there were some things that I let go too long, and they just needed to be addressed eventually, and we just didn't see eye to eye anymore, and it just didn't fit the agreement that we had originally made. There were some things that I let go too long without addressing that no longer could be resolved. And that was on me. Do you see how I just took responsibility for that? Because that's really what happened. I let this person do some things that ultimately I just was people pleasing in that era of my salon ownership, a little bit in this specific scenario, and I just don't do that anymore. But I was learning, and you have to learn, right? But am I the villain in that story? 1,000% for that person. Did I get dragged through the mud? 1,000%. Did I want to say from the freaking rooftops right here, shout like she's effing crazy? Yeah, I did. Did I? Absolutely not. No, I didn't, because that's not necessary, right? Like, I can think it, I can know it, and I can say like, it just doesn't actually matter what she is. She just needed to go. You know, like I don't need that. I don't need that energy, and neither do you. So even if you are the villain in someone's story, and like it's true, not true, it doesn't actually matter. You take responsibility for what is yours, and you let the rest go, and you don't engage in it, right? You have to go above it, because if you go down to that level, and even just subtle conversations, casual conversations, like it's not necessary. It's not good for your leadership. It doesn't help you move forward. And these are things that, like, I'm not perfect. I'm working on it every day to make sure that I don't stoop to that level to actually be the villain in their story. Sure, I'll be it in their story, but like it's not the truth of the matter. And I know that this is kind of a wacky, like this isn't really a salon owner system, but it's about you just not engaging and protecting your peace, really. And this is how you do that in the salon, because there are so many personalities and so many things. And when someone leaves, we can feel really like damaged or upset by it for whatever reason, like we're not good enough, and it can conjure a bunch of that stuff. And also, if you're firing someone, they feel that way. And so you get into an emotional place, and when emotions are high, logic is usually low, and control is also very low. And so we like word vomit sometimes, or we just have like a freak out and like a vent. And while that's totally okay, it's not okay to do like in the salon. It's not okay to do with your staff. And most recently we've had some change of staff in the salon, and some of my stylists have said like, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? Like da 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 da. And as much as like they know like I'm upset by what happened, they know like we're solid, and it's my job to tell them that. And so I've been very honest with them and said, you know, like I think that this situation like kind of remedied itself, you know, and it's all good. And there's like it's kind of like that meme. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a bunch of oranges, and the first one is like rotting, and the next one like closest to it is starting to rot, and it's like you are who you spend your time with. And so like I just know that everything always comes out in the wash, and I hold firm on my boundaries and my protection of the salon and my priorities and what's good for me as a salon owner, no matter what, so that we don't have that rotten fruit epidemic going on. Right? Like, so that the rest doesn't turn. And that is, it's really important for us to remember that, because sometimes it is being the bad guy, even in their story, even though it's not truly, like, you're not doing anything bad, but you are disrupting someone else. And I just have to say, like, it's okay. It's all right. Like, we have to adopt that, okay, that is okay. Like, it's fine, because we can't be for freaking everyone, and we can't get better unless we go through some stuff in order to learn how to be better salon owners, right? And as much as it's important to know your profitability, to know like your inventory levels, and as much as I can give you those systems, and as much as I can tell you like you need a CEO day and hiring and firing practices and SOPs and all of these things, like we really have got to work on this in order to show up and be truly, truly, truly successful leaders. And that it comes from growth. It comes from personal growth, self-leadership, and acknowledging where we have shortcomings and leaning in and to go further, right? And so, you know, I don't have a lot of like coaching and stuff where we do this outside of like one-on-one when it comes up in conversation. But I thought it was really important to mention, like, you probably will be the villain in somebody's story, and you just need to know where you stand, and that the decisions that you made were the right decisions for your business. And if you made decisions or acted a certain way, like just take responsibility for it. You can always grow from it. And being a salon owner is hard. Not every day is a walk in the park.